Hey, everybody. Welcome to Workshop Wednesday. This is Dawn, and I am excited because I have Barbara with us, and she is actually one of our speakers at the summit in November, and we are very excited to have her today. While she can probably speak about a plethora of subjects, I chose staging, of course, the one subject that's near and dear to my heart. So thank you for allowing me to choose that topic. Um, Barbara, we're going to talk about how you built such a thriving staging business. Now, again, I know that you're above and beyond. You've gone and done a lot of things on your journey. But I just want to kind of go back a little bit and share with a lot of our new designers. We've had several, almost half a dozen the last couple of weeks join HSRA, and they're phase one stagers. And so I want you to just kind of tell them a little bit about how you started and how you built the staging business, and kind of just give them some tips, and tell them a little bit about yourself too. So
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dawn. I appreciate it. And welcome, everybody. Very excited to be here today, and also very excited to see everybody at the summit in November. So if you have not signed up yet, please, do. We love to have you. It's always amazing to connect and the networking. And sometimes one of your biggest learnings might not even be on stage, it might be the conversation you have with somebody next to you. And what I can share with you is that when you are in a silo and in this box and working alone, at a certain point, you will hit a ceiling. And yes, we can do it all. Yes, you can have this attitude, but it only brings you so far. So collaboration with others and asking for help, I think, is a key part. And I am telling that from my heart, from me personal, because for a longest time, I always felt that if you're asking for help, that it is a failure, that it actually you're failing because you're not good enough to do, or you're not strong enough to push through. And I think what I learned over time is that actually when people feel that they can help you and you allow them in, that it is also giving, it is number one is there's really people that can help you. And then it also actually feels very rewarding both ways.
that's awesome. So that, I think that's a great piece of advice. And I think that you're right. We want to feel like we're super women, and we can kind of, we do wear hats, right? When you start a business, you're the accounts payable, you're the accounts receivable, you're the inventory specialist, you are the inventory manager, you're the mover, you're the shaker. Um, I remember wearing all of those hats and having all those plates to spin. And all my girlfriends saying, you've got to not only meet with a group of like minded people to just talk about stuff and get stuff off your chest, but you have to be able to collaborate and open up and accept some help in certain areas to build your business. So, can you give them a couple of different examples of who, when you started, who did you collaborate and what did that look like? Give them some ideas on where to even start.
Yeah. Well, and again, it was different because when I started, there were not a lot of organizations, around, you started the collaboration effort, but it's also, you don't know what you don't know. And I think we all were starting in that, figuring out what, that staging business actually could be. And people moved into different directions. Some focused more on consultations, other went into the backend, but it is a journey. I think overall it is a journey. The first part is to grow. You have to let go. To grow, you have to let go. What that means, you have to give up a certain element of control. I also strongly believe that we have to focus on where we're good at, and we have to hire where we hire on additional strengths in areas where we don't feel as strong, and it also is not giving us, most probably the highest return. no matter what, sometimes we have to do things we don't like as much, don't like to do as much. But, the key element is, as more as we're focusing on what we really enjoy and like doing, as more we're into the right lane, and then hiring in the people who can fulfill other positions, and therefore, take things off your plate.
So that I love that. In order to grow, you have to let go. I love that. I love that you slowed it down so they could really take it in. Um, at what point did you, for all the new stagers, I have some that have a couple of just 1099s. They've kind of just
Mhm.
started with that. And then I have some that say, I don't have anybody at all and I'm getting tired and it's time to get somebody. So I think at what point did you know, besides this is my strength, I know I can work in this area, this is my weakness, at what point did you know I need to bring somebody on and that you could financially obtain either a 1099 or an employee itself? And do you have a preference on which one it was?
I think there's no right or wrong answer to the question of if you start with a 1099 first or W-2. At a certain point, it has to go into a different direction. But I think in the beginning, it is what makes most sense, and also what skill sets in your assessments are available to you. One of the biggest learnings in regards to hiring, I think, is also that when you hire based on need, you're always behind the curve. So when you hire based on the need, I need now somebody because I'm really underwater. You are already in a not so good position. Interviewing ideally should happen all the time. Has it happened? Have I done it that way all the time? No, but the key is to know it and always, go back. Okay, Barbara, here we go, right? You have to continue. You have to be in that mode, be always in hiring mode. And the interesting part, and I think that is mindset. And I think that was one of the speakers at the conference I attended last weekend, had a big focus presentation on mindset. And mindset really is everything. If you set your mind and you set it to, I can do that, this will happen, it is interestingly how everything else suddenly falls into place. And suddenly the phone rings, or you're thinking about somebody, and suddenly that person calls you. I strongly believe there is a lot of vibration in the universe, and we can pick up the positive strings as well as the negative. So hiring needs to be ongoing, and interviewing needs to be ongoing. That gives you the best chance of success, and finding the right partner. And it is not an easy task, and it has its up and downs. And I went through them too, just to be straightforward there too. It is the hiring, and for a while you think all is good, and then things turn and things go in a different direction, and you have to make certain decisions. And part is that happens. It will happen, and it is okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that that's good to be transparent so they know that you, again, with me, even having my own business, then I think the first time I had to let somebody go or fire somebody, I came home and cried.
Mhm.
Even though I knew it was the right decision, I felt horrible. And I think I want to say that I even emailed or talked to Lori about it just because I needed somebody in my industry that kind of understood where I was coming from and what I had just went through. And then she had connected me with another stager who just gone through the same thing. And so that's why I love, what we do, because we can help each other out in those areas. And as much as I love my husband, he just doesn't get
Mhm.
that side of things at all. He just doesn't, bless his heart. So
And this is okay, what I tell the team too. I might even cry when I tell you, this might be the last day, but that's because I'm connected to you as a person, and I like you as a person. But that doesn't mean that you are the great fit for that company. And I have to look at the total team. I have to look who else is impacted by that decision. And if that decision, impacts the team negatively, then no matter what, you have to go through it. And it's hard. But I said, it's okay. I have to give myself allowance that I am emotionally connected, that in that way I feel strong. It's not a weakness. I weep because if I'm connected with somebody, I will cry and it's okay. But it doesn't mean that anything changes in the decision.
Yeah, I love the way that you put that. That's actually, and I love that you said that you are giving yourself, you are allowing yourself to feel and to still have that aspect of being an owner, but you have that relationship and you're allowed to like somebody and still like them, but know they're not a good fit. And that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. Cause I'm telling you what, yeah, we could talk about that too, I'm
Oh,
sure.
yes.
Um, so let's kind of, for the new stagers, let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about your brand and your identity. Um, there, a lot of them are like, how do I get myself out there? What do I do? How do I start? So can you just give them an idea of how you built your brand, how you became who you were in your community and in your market, and what you did? Just a few tips or tricks.
Absolutely, happy to do that. And again, all depends on where you're connected when you're starting. So, my journey started as a real estate investor. So, I actually renovated houses, flipped houses, wrote a book in 2007, The Venus Approach to Real Estate Investing, was very connected in the flipper and rehabber community in our area. And when I started with the staging, that was my go-to team and go-to people because that is where I was connected. So I think you have to think about where there is maybe already a connection and a niche you can get started. What I know now, and I think that is what if I would know now, and if I would know what I know now when I started, I would have done certain things a little bit different. But the part is you don't. So you have to go, and certain things might be a try and error. And again, you have to give yourself permission that this is okay. But try to go after where you already have a connection, and connect there. If you know some agents and have somebody in your circle and in your network, try to reach out. Might not always be the best solution on the long term run, but getting started somehow, and build trust. And you have to go in with a full giving heart of service. People can read you clearly, and if you are not true to what you're saying, they will feel it, they will hear it, and but they don't believe it.
I believe that 100%. I think that's the one compliment that I got was transparency.
Mhm.
And people, even when I started and I didn't have inventory, I mean, I just started solo. I did occupied consultations, and I would go in, and people sensed that the genuine, heartfelt tips and ideas that I gave them was not to tear down the way that they lived or the way that their home was, and not that it was awful, but it was me saying, you and I want the same thing. We want to sell this house at the end of the day, and I'm going to help you get there, and I need you to not take anything personal because I want what you want at the end of the day. So it's that transparency. And you're right. It's like children, like they can sense if you really love something or if you don't,
Yeah.
and they can hear it in your voice. I think that's why Summit's easy for me to sell to people right now, to all the new stagers, is because I love it. And I was a part of it before I even worked for HSRA. And so when you love something, it's easy to sell it and people read it
Yeah.
and they hear it and they know it. So what are some tips for social media? I'm excited because there's going to be an actual class. Lori's going to be a part of it too.
And
Just
Laura is
building up.
amazing on
I
social
know
media,
she
right? She
makes us all
is.
look bad.
Yeah. So I
She,
think this is, if we're talking social media, if there is a weak spot or a weak area, if I look at myself, it's not mine. That is, that's why I hire people who have that skill set on that part. If you're talking to me about relationship building and communication, yeah, that's what I'm striving and that's what I love. Talk to me about vision and direction and focus and going into new ways. That is me. I'm honest. Social media was probably not where you want to ask me for a lot of tips.
yeah, that it's funny because I think Lori called me out when I was brand new and she was like, okay, no. And I she was like, let's do something different. And I loved her for it because I needed to hear it. And I think that's a good tip too, is to be open to constructive criticism. Be open to listening. It doesn't mean you have to take every piece of advice that you get. You need to listen to what your group is telling you. If you are part of HSRA, ask us to go back and look at your page. Ask us to look at your feed and say, where can I improve? I need to get my name out there. What can I do? And I'm telling you, Lori is the best at that. I'm glad she's given a class at Summit. I actually made sure that I'm not speaking in another class so I can still go back to her class and learn more. There's always something new, always something to learn. Um,
Absolutely, and that's what I love, in also some of the team approaches and learning and sharing. And I think that's a good lesson too. You can't be perfect in everything, and I am, and I think most probably when you are grown up, and you are a younger stature, you're grown up with social media. Some of that come natural. If I look at my son and how quickly he is doing things, I'm kind of like, okay, no, yeah. Mm-mm. If there's anything, it's okay. Fix it, right? Fix it. So that's my approach to it. I need somebody who's fixing that for me, and that's not my strength. It's a
that
weakness, and it's okay.
It's okay because it's not mine. If you want to know my secret, I hired a young girl to do my social media. And now my kids, I have grown children, but they're younger and they still help me with my social media. So there's our secret, Barbara. We
Here
let it
we
out. We just
are.
we let out our secret. So one thing that I did, and I still do, it's near and dear to my heart, and I still believe allows people to see that you want to serve is getting involved in the community somehow, or getting involved with a project. Or I mean, I've done everything from I still serve at the homeless diner. I've donated to domestic abuse shelters. Um, I've just done a plethora of events and things. One, because I love it, but I mean, I love to serve. I love to serve people, and I love to, just like you, I want to be in the room with people. And so we have some that don't necessarily love to be in the room with people. That's not their strength. But why would you suggest they get connected locally just to build their business?
Well, because you want to be seen as an expert in your area, and I think people sometimes, and unfortunately, I think more women than our male colleagues are tending to be really, really hard on themselves in regards to what does that mean to be an expert. Um, I was thinking about another presentation I was listening in or podcast, and when a man is hired for a job or goes out for it, if he thinks he can fulfill maybe 60%, 50, 60%, he's going after it. If the majority, and not everybody, of women goes after something, it has to be close to 100% because you want to make sure you fulfill all of the criteria. So I think we have to go back and change mindset here again, because when you have invested and have educated yourself with approximately, don't get me on that number, but let's say 100 hours in education on a specific subject and go really deep, you are starting to be an expert, because 90% of the population, the people out there, will not know what you know. So you are an expert in that part. And of course, you can still reach the next level and the next level, but have the confidence to go out and call yourself an expert. And the little tip here is write it on the mirror on a little yellow sticky, put it in and train in front of that mirror before you even go live and build up your confidence. The same part is when people say, hey, before you enter the room or whatever else, get your energy level up, do your jumping jacks, jump up and down, whatever it means, to get your energy flowing. You will see that as you're entering the room or go on stage or whatever you do, it's a whole different level and a whole different feeling for yourself because you feel energized.
I love that. I love that. That's a great thing. And I know that a lot of them struggle with the confidence, and that's alarming that you said that statistically that men feel they could sustain and keep a position at 50 to 60%, and women are so much higher, almost close to that 100 percentile. Um, it's it's true. I know that we know that it's true. And we as women, which we are a women dominant industry in staging and design, um, we are our worst critics. And for some reason, we are so hard on ourselves. I know a lot of men are too, but we are just our own worst critics. So I love that you said that. You've got to be confident. You've got to get yourself in a room. You've got to participate not only in HSRA or in your group, but in community events too. So, um,
Absolutely. And the giving aspect is an important one. So, same here, pick a charity, pick a cause. If I look back of where I get my highest and best, and that is what my goal is, towards the future, is really helping, other women with that right mindset, to succeed in whatever they are doing. That's why I'm also an angel investor and have started, to tap into this area. So for me, it's really that business, because charity and giving can be in so many different ways. I think you have to find something where your heart truly is there. And yes, we have furnished houses for the homeless, get connected with other association closely aligned. There's wonderful opportunities to do that. But at the end, you have to also find that one thing which really drives you, because again, it is about that full, everybody knows they should. And there are sometimes like this, okay, I should do that, right? So, and you do it. But again, if you can find something where you wholeheartedly are involved, it shows, it feels, the way you speak about it, and again, it has to be true to yourself, who you are, and show up who you are, and stand for, for all the things you strongly believe for. And people love that. People love people who are really authentic.
That's awesome. And it does, it builds your confidence because you're serving and you're building yourself up because you're building others up. And then you build your confidence. So that's something I can see that you love is building other women and keeping them in that healthy mindset. Um, so we're going to keep switching gears on everybody. I'm trying to just hit all these little tips and tricks because it's obviously at Summit you're going to get more, but I just want them to get an idea. I'm going to switch gears again. How do you keep up with the latest design as far as your inventory goes for your staging business? What does that look like? And then how do you know what the latest and greatest is and what you can put in homes?
Well, Padis, I when we are purchasing in staging, you actually purchase into a collection. What I mean with that, if you think renovation hardware is a collection, right? It's collection of pieces, and a lot of the pieces have to be interchangeable. So when we are looking at trends, then trends are established, by actually colors come from the car industry. That's always, is interesting. A lot of people don't know that. That's where new colors are introduced. So we can always introduce new colors and new trends based on utilizing most probably like 5% or 10% of the total inventory, which kind of stays current. There is a whole strategy behind moving a collection. And so, yes, we're buying on trend, but only a couple of pieces. where we can talk about. It's like that fun element you can utilize for social media, but we also know that the majority of the inventory has to stay in that longevity element. So how you purchase really drives, and you have, as more as you understand how to purchase the basis, and not only because it's a good deal, but how it really fits and is interchangeable for your team, as more everything you do is more productive. So am I on top of trends? Are we holding presentation? Are we getting a couple of pieces, but more on the decorative side, or maybe a one or two accent chairs if there's a new color coming up? But we know you cannot use it, as consistent, and you might have to phase it out at a certain point. So our goal then, from a strategic direction, is to sell these 20 pieces off as soon as we can, because they will change again. And you don't want to keep them in your inventory when the trend already shifted, because then it is sitting.
I
So
love, yep, that is so true. That is so true. I love that you're saying, and again, just keeping in mind to purchase universal key pieces that can be spread throughout, used in many homes, probably going to be used over and over. And then just the small accent chair or the table or some of the decor art, maybe.
decor, piece of
Yeah,
art, like
yeah,
something you might have, neutral, 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 and then you have this really colorful piece which like flows with some of that part, and that's your social media focus, and that's where you can talk about the trends, but it might not be the piece who is used very often. So when we can, then we are kind of like trying to sell it off and bring something else in.
yeah, I love that. And I did the same thing. I would just sell it as I saw that maybe a new trend was going to come in, and it's almost a seasonal thing. Every 6 months, every 8 months, that it's going to shift and things are going to change. Every year I got an email today. Benjamin Moore is excited to announce their 2023 color of the year. Sherwin-Williams already did.
Yeah,
That these things are coming. And so as much as you love it, it's time to sell it because the next thing's getting ready to come. Like you just said, on everything, be proactive, be a step ahead because you know that it's coming. It's
absolutely.
it's almost like I tell people, and I'm just as guilty. Christmas is on the 25th of every December, and yet I still am horrible at getting everything done before the day of Christmas. But the day never changes. I know what day it is. It's not like it surprised me.
Yes.
So it's just being ahead, staying ahead, keeping up with everything. I love that. That's great advice. So now we're going to shift. We've been talking all things Summit. You're going to speak at Summit. I want you to share just a little bit about how long you've gone to Summit. When you first went to Summit, what your business was, and kind of where you're at now. Don't tell them everything because you're going to have to tell them at Summit. I just want you to give them a few teasers. Why should they come to Summit, and why is it so important to be in the room with all of us at the Irving Convention Center?
Well, I am a regular, I think, since, gosh, and again, I cannot even tell you how many years that goes back, but it is a long time. I know it was, shortly after things, started to grow with HSRA. And I was, looking for a place to call home and feel like-minded, other colleagues. And I definitely found it there. And if I can say one thing in regards to leadership under Jenna over the years, it is there is never ever any negative word coming out of that mouth of this amazing lady, and that is the people you attract as a leader, and the values and the core values you're setting, the standards in how people communicate, the way you deal with conflicting situations. That is what makes that's how the team looks at it, and that's the people you are attracting as well. I think that is one key part. And that doesn't mean there's a lot of great, it's the same part. There's a lot of great people out there. There's a lot of great organizations out there. And everyone has their value. And there is, amazing things we can learn. At the end, you have to find a place where you strongly feel that this is the best fit. And that's what I personally have found there. And over the years, grown a lot of amazing relationships with a lot of people. Some of them have sold their businesses, some have ventured out, new people are coming in. But that feeling of that positive energy and vibration has not changed. In always going out for something new, not holding on towards the old, really shaking us up, going, into a different direction, and also asking some challenging questions now and then, but in a way that everybody feels engaged. So tons of learning, tons of sharing, uh, moving forward into a new direction, asking challenging questions. And part is, if you want to grow your business, if you are in that mindset of not only looking at it as a hobby, but really trying a way where you drive change, then that's the place for you.
That's awesome. I agree 100% wholeheartedly. I just needed them to hear it from somebody else too. I feel like I've been saying it all week and I can't speak enough about it. Um, the one thing you said is for sure, Jana, I've never heard a negative thing come out of her mouth. She stays positive. She takes something that has been said that's negative and flips it to a positive, and she says, let's work on this, let's learn from this, and let's make it better. That is her whole outlook on everything. And so you're right. That is just who she attracts, is are those people. Um, so we'll wrap it up quickly. If you have any other last piece of advice, like I said, we've got a lot of new stagers and then a lot of stagers who they've been in business a couple of years, but they've just joined us because they're ready to grow and they're ready to have somebody walk alongside them and say, I'm here to help you. So any last words of advice before we wrap everything
I
up?
think I repeat because that really stuck is, if you want to grow, you have to let go. I think I want to end it with that. I think this is great advice. And we always need, you need your little, sentence for a month or 2 months or 3 months, how long it takes to really implement. So if you want to grow, you have to let go.
I love
And
it,
I
Barbara.
see you at Summit.
Yes, yes, we want to see them at Summit. Thank you so much, Barbara. I know you're busy, but thank you for taking time with us. I'm excited to see you. I know everybody else is too. You're going to bring a lot of value to what we have on that stage.
I
So,
appreciate, Dawn. Again, it takes a village, everybody their part. And even I think the only part, the energy in the room gives, that's the vibration which also will translate to the stage and back.
yep, I'm excited. I'm ready. I know you are too. So,
Thank you.
okay. Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
Barbara. See you
Thank you. Bye
soon.
bye.